All right. Hello, everyone. Um, Sorry about the wait on getting this video started. Excuse me. I have been struggling with the technology of getting this live stream going for the past half hour or so. So it's working now. The reason I am doing this video is because I was wanting to answer a question that someone left on one of my videos. And the question is pertaining to how your feet are supposed to move and how you're supposed to pivot the foot when you're doing this was specifically for the Tai Chi 24 form, but this applies to any form. So we are going to go ahead and get to it. So the question is whether you should be pivoting on the heel of the foot when you are doing your form, the back foot, that is. So if you do like brushing and push, parting the horse's mane, the back foot, the first series that I put out for the Taiji 24 form, I was pivoting predominantly on the ball of the foot and pushing the heel back. And the connecting movements videos that I put out to kind of put together all the pieces of the forms. Um, on those videos, I was pivoting on the heel, and so I guess that was a little confusing for some people. And someone left the question: which one should you be doing? Is there a correct way to do it? Incorrect way of doing it? And they noticed that there was a lot of variation in different forms, and so they're asking what's the correct way of doing this. And I think it's really important to recognize that in Tai Chi there is a lot of variation. There's a lot of different ways of doing the same thing, and there are definitely wrong ways of doing things, but there can be many correct ways of doing them. So that's kind of what we're getting at in this video. So hopefully this is helpful to some of you as we get into this. The idea, and I brought my foot model with me so that I can talk hopefully a little bit more since I don't have the setup here to do an actual demo of showing the movements. Hopefully using the foot model will be helpful. So the pivoting on the ball of the foot. So you have your foot placed and you push the heel backwards, pivoting right under those MTP joints, those metatarsal phalangeal joints. That's the ball of the foot. You pivot there, you push the heel back on the back leg. The reason you would do that, there's a couple of reasons you would do it. One is purely for performance. So if you're in a stance that is more narrow than you want it to be, and you're wanting to widen that stance so it looks a little more impressive, so you're doing a competition and you want your stances to look a little bit better by the end of the stance than it does when you first step into that stance. One trick is to push the heel back. So you're pivoting on the ball of the foot, pushing the heel back, and that widens your stance without you having, to take a larger step at the beginning of the movement. So that's one use of it. Most people that I talk to don't really care about doing competition forms and demonstrations like that. So they don't really care about how it looks. They care about either the health benefits or they want to use push hands or something like that. So the other reason that you would pivot on the ball of the foot, at least one of the other reasons, is say you need to create more space for your stance between you and the person you're doing push hands with, say. We'll stick with the push hands example. But you don't want to like step back and uproot a foot. You want to keep contact with the floor and create more space. In that situation, you can keep the ball of the foot planted where it is and pivot the heel back to give yourself a wider base at the same time maintaining your structure, maintaining your root, and not actually having to disconnect from the ground to create that space. So that's one use of pivoting on the ball of the foot. So it has probably more uses than that. Those are the two that are coming to mind right now. As far as pivoting on the heel of the foot, that is just generally more stable all the way around. So if you have the chance to try pushing either with a partner, push hand style, or just pushing against a wall, try pushing against the wall, get in a forward stance. So majority of your weight's forward, back foot's pressed against the floor, and try pivoting the heel back and see how your structure lines up through that. So you can't, drive that force directly through the leg straight into the ground, kind of in front of the heel, like I've talked about in previous videos, which is like ideal for your structure. It kind of breaks that chain a little bit when you pivot on the ball of the foot. If you keep your heel in contact with the floor, you can keep that really good alignment and just pivot the toes forward. And you find that it keeps a really strong structure and allows you to change the direction of your foot and your stance really in a way that's very stable. So that's kind of my go-to. I used to play with both of them, and I used to kind of favor that pivoting on the ball of the foot version of moving the back foot. And you see that in a lot of my videos, especially my older videos. I very rarely pivot on the heel of the foot. And just through time and practice and what has come out to be more stable as I do, push hands or just solo training. I've just gravitated more towards pivoting on the heel because of the stability factor, because of the structure that it allows. So, the other thing that you can do, so another use for this, as far as pivoting on the heel of the foot. So when you are in your stance and you pivot on the heel of the foot so the toes come forward, but you're keeping the contact with the heel, that allows you to shorten your stance a little bit. So sometimes when you're doing push hands or something, you want to advance, but you don't want to advance by taking steps because maybe there's enough contact with the other person that you're not really wanting to uproot or lose contact with the ground, but you still need to move forward to kind of get your position better. One way you can do that is keep the contact with the heel and move the toes forward. So it's kind of the opposite of what I was talking about with the ball of the foot still in contact with the floor, pivoting on the ball of the foot. You're creating more space in your stance. This, you're kind of advancing your structure forward without having to pick your feet up. So that's another use for pivoting on the heel of the foot. So all of that to say, um, it's not that there's a right way of doing it, one or the other. There's different uses for pivoting either on the ball of the foot or on the heel of the foot. And you kind of have to decide what your Tai Chi practice is about, why you're doing what you're doing, and which of those options fits into how you practice. So that's kind of what I was wanting to say. I see there's a few of you watching. If you have questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly. Um, I was planning to do a little bit more talking, but with how long it took to get this stream going, I am going to learn the lessons that I learned from technology, trying to get this thing going and try to get my next one started earlier so I have more time to talk. But yeah, that's basically what I had to say. Um, yeah, if there's no questions, I'm probably going to wrap it up. So thank you for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. After this live stream is done, of course, if there are any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll try to get to them. And if this is a useful way of me getting back to you on questions in the comment section, let me know and I'll try to do more of these videos. I figured this would just be easier than actually doing my normal shoot and edit and upload. Um, Turned out this time it wasn't so much easier, but hopefully in the future it will be. So that's that. I hope that's helpful. Best of luck in all your training, and I will hopefully hear from you guys soon. Take care.